Hey guys, it's Caustic from WPI. I'm going to be bringing you a stream analysis of the game we recently played against Stony Brook. I am the drafter, strategist, and shot caller for our team, so I figured you might want to see my perspective on the games that we recently played. So the reason I have you on the screen is because I'm going to be calling everybody by their names, not their screen names, because that's how I know them. So up here we have Shredded Wind is Calvin. He's our main tank player. I'm our assassin player Caustic. My real name's Kyle. We've got Jason, J Destroyer as our support. Azar Dom as our flex, mainly DPS flex. And we have C10 Huang as Ben. He's our other flex player. He mainly does the tank flex. So, going into the first game. So, a little bit of background on the game. We had first pick because we were team 1, so we selected first pick. They banned Towers of Doom. We banned Full Sky Industries because who wants to learn new maps? And then they picked BOE. So first game's going to be a BOE. We first banned Maev because who cares about learning new stuff? They banned Malthael because Immortal Burn. Alright, and I'm going to stop it on the Blaze first pick because they bring it up a lot in game. We first picked Blaze both games. And Calvin is pretty much a one-trick Blaze player in Hero League, but that's not actually the reason why we picked Blaze. The reason why we picked Blaze is because he's super flexible, so he's a really good first pick, as well as his base kit is actually decent. It's not anything crazy, but Bunker is probably the most powerful ultimate in the game. It basically opens up a ton of different strategies that you can do. It's on a tiny cooldown, so you can use it pretty much whenever you want. It's a great escape, it's a great teamfight ability, it's a great sieging tool. It's pretty much just not an ability that is healthy for the game in its current state, because you can do so much with it. So we have this. Sure, a lot of people have seen this before. Playing Blaze, Bunker, just go in and out of it, whenever you go out, come back in, resets the cooldown. So
데미지 표시만 뜨지 들어가는구나.
use the Bunker to basically multiply the damage that your tanks and support do to towers, as well as your DPS if they're ability-based DPS. They can get in, press Q, get out, fire all their abilities, get in, press Q, get in, press Q. It's just a lot of damage. It's really not fair. So, this one. So we first picked Blaze both games, not because Calvin is a great Blaze, even though he is, so it's just like a bonus for us, but because Blaze is really strong. So continuing the draft, their first two picks are pretty standard from what we saw through research. They end up going ETC and Genji, I believe. So I'm just gonna let them cast it.
I didn't see him too much in competitive, but over the past few weeks, he's definitely started to make a name for himself. To the point where he's getting first pick now. Here on Battlefield of Eternity, leaving heroes like Hanzo up. I'm a little surprised to see that. I thought you'd want the Shimada brother. Genji got nerfed a little while ago, so he's kind of fallen off as far as relevance and overall priority. But this does open up a lot of opportunities for Stony Brook. With the Malthael ban, do they want to try to lock in their solo laner sooner rather than later? Or do they want to try to go for a support, get a tank like ETC? I heard Mosh Pit's a pretty good heroic source.
It has been known to win some games. I believe ETC bot has a perfect win rate with that Mosh Pit ETC Genji. So again, giving up the Hanzo, which means neither team is either confident in the Hanzo. Veracity doesn't play it for this.
So they picked ETC Genji. We know from our research that this Genji, he's an okay Genji. He goes Q build, which is kind of weird. It basically allows me to end up picking Hanzo, who is probably my current favorite hero because he's so flexible, just like the Blaze. If Genji's on E build, he can kind of try to blow up the Hanzo if I don't have any defense. But because he's on Q build, I have no fear picking the Hanzo. And then we go Malfurion because just like Blaze and Hanzo, he's super flexible. So we're pretty much getting exactly what we planned ahead of time for this draft on BOE. Hanzo brings a lot of poke. You'll see I prefer a certain style on this map, and a lot of people disagree with me, including people on my own team. Basically, these three are really flexible. They can be played multiple ways. So that's where we are in the current draft.
To target down the Blaze, so Genji is kind of in melee range, ETC's in melee range. I mean, Hanzo arrows AoE, not the actual, projectile, but once it hits, that AoE explosion is massive.
It's not small by any stretch of the imagination. 17 seconds for Stony Brook has to take somebody off the board. They're looking on the other side. Support's already picked up. Solo laner in the form of Blaze. I can't imagine we've seen him in the maintain capacity.
So they were talking about it. We kind of picked up our flex picks that you would normally ban out. It's really easy to ban out a support or a tank. They end up banning a Nubarak, which we were actually planning on picking, so that was a good ban for them. And we end up banning Uther because ETC and Genji both work really well with Uther. If Genji gets on the back line, gets a Divine Shield, then we can all die if we're not careful. So I'll let this continue on.
Race, I lost myself in down the rabbit hole of picks and counter picks. Uther seems fine to me. It lets you stop the Genji Blade combo. There's the Artanis for the that amateur opponent early game. Rhaegar is.
So I was kind of surprised with how quickly they picked these, considering how atrocious their picks were. Rhaegar and Artanis are really not characters that you want to pick. I was totally expecting them to pick Lucio because it really enables their ETC to get slides on what is going to be a really dangerous Hanzo. If I can keep my positioning, then there's not much ETC can do against it unless he's got a Lucio boost. And then he can probably catch up with me, maybe interrupt a jump, and get the kill there. And then Rhaegar. So Rhaegar doesn't do any of that. He just kind of sits in the back, heals, gives people shields. And Artanis just isn't a great hero. They picked him for the amateur opponent, and that was about it. So
Azer's hero, and
continuing on the draft, we got Tyrael. That was our backup for the Anubarak. Tyrael's really strong. He prevents a lot of dive. He has a lot of shields. Sanctification's overpowered. Yeah, Tyrael's really strong. And then Li Ming. We've got a good stun combo with the Blaze Malfurion, Hanzo, Ultimate. Li Ming can just bring the damage to that, get a bunch of resets, and win the game. Their final pick was Tychus, which is, okay. He's an okay pick. Tychus is a really safe pick. They have a really good Tychus player. As expected. So, yeah. We drafted a really technical poke comp, so we're looking to... Our plan going into it was going to stall the Immortal, basically poke them down. Rhaegar can't heal them enough to save them from the poke. Poke until they make a mistake and we get engaged with our Blaze or Malfurion or Tyrael, and then just roll from there with resets on the Li Ming and the Hanzo jump. I'll let the casters go from here.
Orb. Blaze has got the additional damage. Hanzo has the additional damage. Once we get to those stalemate immortals, things really start to favor WPI.
I think we could see them do pretty well here. I always want to see Mosh Pit, though. But Brian, I think we're going to show us a little bit how this map battleground works.
Yeah, so let's get a little bit more in-depth here on the map. We're going to get to talk about a couple of the positionings and what I was just speaking about when it comes to that sort of that immortal issue where you're getting into those
So we're
starting immortals. They'll start top and bottom, but when they end up being on opposite sides, when you can defend here and defend here, firing abilities across these two rocks and being able to use that as a wedge to be able to defend yourself becomes key. You also have to worry about how some of the flanks work from these angles through these two vents. Once you get sort of towards the mid portion of the team fights, once we get a couple of levels in, you have to worry about where you're positioning on the map, specifically because with WPI they have so much poke, so much fire and forget. Stony Brook is going to need to come in through those vents and look for those angles.
I agree.
So with her comp, he pretty much nailed it. This comp's pretty much unbeatable on this map if you play it right. You have to make sure nobody loops around, flanks you. You can just poke down the Immortal for pretty much forever. And as long as you don't get picked, you're pretty much going to win through attrition. Yeah, so that's our comp. Do a nice spiral around the core because it's fun. They don't do much of anything. So I'll let the game start.
Poseidon on the Artanis, Feeder Pan, great name, on the Rhaegar, Veracity will be on the Tychus, Skarner on the Genji, and Insomniac on the ETC. And in this game, I'm going to have to give it over to WPI. I think Worcester Poly has, I think they're...
So a little bit of notes about the builds going into it. We've got, I'm on the Q build because we're not really going to get much opportunity to burn down the Immortal. Pretty much everything else is standard. Genji's on the Q build, which is what our research showed that he would pick. So yeah, that makes me a lot safer for when we're fighting. Early standard play. Something of note is whenever I play Q build Hanzo, I miss my first like 10 Qs on people because reasons. You'll see another one there. Fantastic. Continue.
Veracity in a position to really get the job done. And, you know, I worry about how far Skarner is going to have to go to be able to get the job done. If you just walk back right onto a route, it's a dangerous time to be a Shimada. You know, especially when your brother's staring at you with a bow and arrow and it's like, little brother, I think you don't want to be there.
Hanzo's offering a bit of that brotherly love. Nice poke going in. Genji's going to have to watch his health bar for real. Up top, though, Shredded Wind, Poseidon. Both heroes have self-sustained for days. Nice stun going in. Shredded Wind starting to trade barbs. He's like, hey, you're not just going to push me back all day. I can play this game, too.
So we've had debates about how Blaze does in the solo lane, but I'm going to, you know, I think I can agree with you on this one. He pretty much wins control of that. He can clear. There isn't a great way for Artanis to clear. Artanis usually wins by dueling, and Blaze can kind of abuse the duel. Anytime Artanis steps up to kind of pick that fight, it becomes a mild problem. You also have the amateur opponent in for Poseidon on that Artanis, so his level 1 trait doesn't do anything for him. That.
So early laning phase, pretty standard. We called this Genji rotation, so you can see Calvin playing really safe. Yeah, just trying to stack Qs, doing a very terrible job at it. Try not to die, keep vision up, call it their rotations. Both the teams are pretty good, so there's not really going to be any early deaths if everybody's playing safe, which they are. Pretty standard, rotate up to the Shaman camp. Ben was really late on it. So I took a bunch of damage. Doesn't really matter because I still have a tap up, but yeah. I'll let it play again.
Push, depending on how much push you can get out within the lane, going into this first Immortal phase. Race is on the side of Stony Brook. They will do more damage over time. Poke in favor of Worcester Poly. First Immortal is not that important, but very telling to how the fights are going to go, and we'll see who...
So, because they changed it kind of recently, we knew our Immortal spawned top, and we knew our Artanis was top, who is their only Immortal burn. So we initially made the call to just burn the Immortal, because their main person that can burn the Immortal is trying to defend, because he was on the wrong side of the map when the Immortal spawned. So we get an early advantage, and then our comp starts to play into what it's good at for the... Because now they have to come over here and defend. And we can just start poking them down.
Poseidon gets a nice swap. Isolate.
So they engage. Jason's a noob, so he walks right into a Immortal stun, and then Ben kind of goes in for no reason and gets cleaned up as well. And this actually allows them to get the first Immortal, which we were not entirely planning on. So yeah, they end up burning down the Immortal. We can't really get in. Calvin lands a really good stun, and we almost kill Genji. But in the end, they get the first Immortal. Not a huge deal because it's the first Immortal, but they are a little bit ahead now, which was always not part of the plan, but play on.
Stony Brook Universe is going to come away with the first Immortal of the game, albeit the shield's pretty low. Like you said, though, this could give us some insight to how the rest of the map's going to go. Worcester probably got ahead in the Immortal race, but once Stony Brook put the pressure on, he did pretty well.
So when defending the first Immortal, you basically just want to not die, because if you die, then all sorts of bad stuff starts to happen. So we pretty much concede the gate, stop it at the keep, play really safe to not let ETC get a slide on anybody, and make sure you don't die. That's the main part of defending the first Immortal. Keep Blaze soak in the top, don't die, and then they'll get a tiny advantage, but you can come back pretty easily.
After fight, and never give Worcester Poly the opportunity to set up.
Explosive arrows with the talent for Hanzo, so to definitely be able to clear out those waves somewhat serviceably. Li Ming definitely helped out there as well. Nicely done by Stony Brook, however, to back away once the Immortal started to fall. They didn't overstay their welcome. Skarner's going to go ahead.
So I noticed this in game because he was mostly jumping at me, but Genji makes a lot of really questionable jumps at random people, a lot, and it was just something to watch out for in the games. He keeps doing it throughout this game too. He'll go in pretty much by himself. And another thing to note, I'm on the Q build again. Like I stated before, Genji jumps in again by himself. The Q build, everybody in chat was giving me flack for it, but it's definitely the better build in this situation. Helps us with our wave clear, which isn't a huge deal on this map, but it was pretty atrocious without the Qs. Most importantly, when we're poking down the Immortal, the explosion works on the Immortal, and you can hit multiple enemy team members with your Q when you're poking down the Immortal. So another thing, they rotate up right when the Immortal spawns, so we see this, and we immediately rotate down toward the camp to try to pick up the camp. And then they notice it, and they rotate in really late. So we've pretty much picked up the camp. They walk right into Malfurion roots and they lose their Tychus to a Cosler spear, which is pretty funny. So now they're a man down going into the Immortal phase. So we've pretty much caught back up at this point. Yeah, you'll see again there, despite losing a person, Rhaegar moves really aggressively into basically the fog of war. He doesn't know what's there. Turns out there's a Blaze there. Clean him up, 2 kills before the Immortal phase. We just decide to burn. This might actually have been a mistake because our Tannis is still alive, so they get a lot of Immortal damage, a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah, so Immortals are pretty much tied despite them losing 2 members there before the fight even started.
Wow. Perfectly favored for Worcester Poly to slow play it. As long as they do not get engaged on, they should be fine.
So now they're almost 10, so they've got a couple options. The proper option would probably be 4-man defend, 1 person go soak 10, but then we'd be able to engage on them. So what they instead decide to do is 4-man defend, 1 person burn the Immortal. So because he's really close, we don't fully engage, we just keep poking. There's no danger of them hitting 10 if nobody's in lane and they don't get a kill. So we can just slow play this until they make a mistake and we land a stun. And yeah, we end up winning the Immortal because we can push him out with all of our poke.
They're piling a steal away this Immortal before level 10 comes online.
Perfectly timed. That was a difficult window to play in for the side of Worcester Poly. And you could see how much Stony Brook, they wanted to find that engagement. And you look at these heroics, I mean, they've taken Mosh Pit. They were ready to fight. They were ready to pick an all-out brawl. Now, we may see that here. Heroics are in for the side of Worcester Poly. The placement of that Li Ming is going to be huge. Good use of the Odin to be able to start burning down that Immortal shield, play that safe game, and start to even things up. But how they play the next few seconds is huge. Skarner needs to find his opening with Insomniac. That dive.
So important thing to note, we're not playing super aggressive because I've already popped Odin. So we're just trying to poke down as much stuff as we can. Make sure me and Dom stay as far away from the ETC as possible because he's prone to do that, slide in. Nothing really comes of it. We get most of the fort, but nothing crazy. What happens next is actually really good for us though. So we notice that they're kind of hanging up here. They go up to the camp, so we all immediately run down bottom. And this is going to be our first really Blaze-oriented play of the game. Because they're all top and we can see them on that minion wave, we know at least 3 of them are just top. We can 5-man hard push into this tower. The blind comes down, but it doesn't matter because Bunker's overpowered and it cleanses blinds. And then we just bunker spam the whole fort down. get it way faster than if we didn't have bunker, and yeah, take basically a fort for free based solely off positioning on the map. Bunker's overpowered.
Spell damage? That is all spell.
Because we just saw that camp get captured top, we knew that somebody was still top, and we could, for free, to get this camp down the bottom. And then we rotate Blaze back up to deal with that, because he has our rest wave clear.
Heroics, we've seen a couple used here and there. The next Immortal is going to pretty much dictate the game, and how well this initiation composition from Stony Brook works and how well Worcester Poly counters is going to tell us a lot about how this series is going to go.
I agree. I got to give credit to Insomniac. Already 16 stacks of Regen Globes towards Prog Rock. On a 2-lane battleground, I feel like that's something of a feat, all things considered. But the next set of Immortals will be here imminently. Bruiser Camp already picked up for Worcester Poly. Stony Brook's going to help themselves there as well. Like you said, Source, this has been a very even game. Both of these teams definitely...
So it's the defensive Immortal spawn. So this is what our comp is built around, is basically defending the Immortal and poking it there. So we clear out the Shaman camp, keep vision on them so we know exactly where they all are, keep our side lanes safe. So we're double soaking the side lanes to get 13. They're not really engaging for, I don't know why. Yeah, Blaze is still top. And then once we get 13, get the Blaze in, our comp can really just start to do work on them. As long as we don't make any mistakes, there's not really anything they can do about us sieging down this Immortal. So I'll let it play.
And so that puts the rest of the engagement comp on Insomnia.
Or swap into the power slide from ET.
So this is why we go Q-build on Hanzo. Because you hit the Immortal, hits like 4 people on their team, does like a 1500 damage to combine to everybody. And it's just not something that Rhaegar can heal through. Yeah, so that just keeps happening over and over and over. They can't get any engages because Blaze Tyrael's anchoring, and we're playing really safe because our range are so much further than theirs. Yeah, so they're just gonna eventually lose the Immortal, get poked out, and then eventually somebody's gonna walk into a root, get Eldurin blocked, or Blaze is gonna land a stun and we're gonna kill everybody. Unless they slow play it, in which case we'll just get the Immortal. So Bunker's overpowered, siege damage, easy, get the Immortal for free. Not really anything they can do about it.
Contesting from Stony Brook, they're now 13, now they can look for that fight, but do you really want to keep giving that up?
While Shredder wins, cracking me up, dropping his clown car every now and again and getting his free siege damage. Seems to be vexing Stony Brook so far. Halftime show already kicked off, a near full bar of health for the Immortal in favor of Worcester Poly. Find themselves in something of a driver's seat. The longer this goes on, it could go their way.
So this was a pretty interesting engage for them. They pretty much had to force a fight. They hit the swap onto Tyrael, and then they all jumped in off that. Now, Ben, he went up, whereas he should have gone down, because if he blocks off of this walkway with the Holy Ground, Genji just jumped over this wall. Genji's just super dead if he blocks off this walkway, because none of them can funnel in, and he can't get out back to them without burning his E. So instead of going up, he should have gone down. In the end, he kind of just chills out here and doesn't really participate at all in the fight. So because he went up, this pretty much turned into a 4v5 for the time being. They do end up rotating Artanis up here to fight him, so it's pretty much a 4v4. But Genji's all alone back here. You can see Malfurion coming down, help me. Blaze is zoning out the rest of them. And if Tyrael was here, this would just be the team fight would end immediately.
Range Dragon Arrow comes back from last year, but the Ancestral Healing is going to connect. Not going to land on Skarner though.
So Ancestral Healing went out, so we know Genji's completely out of the fight. Tychus is really out of position. Ben's also pretty out of position because he needs to be with the team so he gets sanked. He's just fighting Artanis, which is a fight he's never going to win. Yeah, team fight goes on.
He's without a health bar at this point. Poseidon lands another nice swap on the Tira, who has the jukes and the means to throw the holy ground, so he escapes. Genji's low on health, looking to engage potentially, but Insomnia, stays.
So, yeah, we get a kill. I jump over the wall, resets, jump over the wall. Li Ming resets, jumps, and we just clean up the rest of the kills. Genji actually died to the minion wave, which is pretty funny. Ended up getting Rhaegar killed to, my D getting reset. Yeah, win the team fight, get the Immortal, push on.
The wave up top. But let's take another look at that. A nice swap from Poseidon. Tries to get that first takedown in his team fight, but with Ancestral Healing already used, Skarner is pretty much not a hero in his progression. Insomnia tries to escape, tries to get out of there, but that long-range flame poke from Blaze gets value. See why they went for him on the first pick.
So, it flashed for a moment there and was in the bottom left, but we were holding this Immortal. We actually probably could have held it a little bit longer. We wanted to get everybody healed up. The death timers weren't long enough for us to really push at the Immortal before they respawned. So we decided to just hold it, get the bottom camp going, get bottom lane going. Definitely should have popped it around now instead of when we did pop it. And then this gives them an opportunity out here to defend it before it reaches their towers, but that also lets us collapse on them.
For as long as they could, let themselves reset. Now they're sitting on 16 and looking for a flank fight. Skarner is found.
So I was just chilling over here by this wall, waiting for my team to come up. Team came up, arrow goes out, fail a bunch of jumps over this wall. Eventually I'll get it, but 3-man arrow into 3-man blaze stun into just stuff, and this team fight looks pretty over.
And a long-range Dragon Arrow into the charge from Shredded Wind. That's a long time to be stunned, and then Malfurion goes in and...
So, team fight looking pretty bad for them, looking pretty good for us. They've jumped onto Dom, and this is where Calvin's actually inexperience with Bunker comes to hurt us. He is a solo queue Blaze, so he takes Combustion pretty much every game in solo queue. So he needed to bunker right about now to save Dom from the Genji Artanis, but he's super late on the bunker. And Dom does end up actually going down first in this fight before any of them.
And silences the crowd. Insomnia is going to get the Ancestral Healing. Skarner trying to do what they can. They take down Li Ming. Ginsu Blade gets some value.
Yeah, that was pretty...
So, 1-for-1 right now. We have a really low Malfurion and they have a really low tank. These two are in a really tough spot, though, in between a Holy Ground and a Fire. I'm just over here shooting stuff because nobody's really touched me. Yeah, team fight goes on.
Pretty good positioning there. They still have the Odin. This fight might not necessarily be over. Insomniac is going to back up. The moment that your warrior is running away, you need to be careful. That's actually an amazing Holy Ground.
Both these teams playing that new hero brawler. Meanwhile, this Blue Immortal's been helping itself to the top keep wall and then some. The chase is on. Insomnia.
So our team's pretty good at chasing with Blaze and Holy Ground, and their team's really not great at running away unless ETC gets a bunch of W's off. Artanis is really bad at running away. And so now it's 4v2. Normally it'd be kind of sketchy to end, but we still got the Sanct up, and Bunker it's still overpowered, so it's not even close. Get like the entire shields down with just the Bunker for taking 0 damage, get about 80% through at the Sanct, and just end up winning the game without much difficulty there. So that's game one.
Showing that they came here to play. Stony Brook had a lot of strong moments there. They were very even at some portions of that, but they just could not get the engagement that they want. We never saw a mosh pit that just ended a team fight. The Ancestral Healings more often than not were going out on an ETC, and nothing's more Bible thump than being Genji seeing an Ancestral Healing go on someone else. That feels bad.
I mean, what were you going to do? They had taken so much damage so quickly, and Genji was just so isolated in that opportunity. That fight they had towards the top, Genji looked better. He got the first reset. There was opportunity there, but Insomniac took huge amounts of damage, had to back up, and then your Odin is in trouble. It kind of all started to fall apart, but those long-range arrows, those were well-timed.
Oh, he was hitting those from across the world, it felt like. But we have another game lined up for you. This is a best-of-3. Don't go anywhere. Game.
So, yeah, game went well. Early mistakes with walking on immortal stuns put us on the back foot for a little bit, but we came back, poked them down, and just never gave them a good engage. If they couldn't find a good engage, they couldn't really do anything, and eventually they just lost. So I'm gonna go on to game 2, which I have queued up right here.
Get power on the rest of the map. I don't know if we see teams go for that deep of a strategy, but it's a possibility.
Definitely so. Worcester probably wanted to go to this battleground. It's gonna.
So they lost. They took first pick. We took Infernal Shrines. They banned Maya for us because apparently they don't want to learn new things either. And we end up turning back and banning Malthael because Malthael's really good at double soaking this map, and you can't really double soak against him. So we just end up banning him to free up our double soak hero when the shrine inevitably is top or bottom, so that we can get the soak off, split off, stall them, get a level advantage without much threat of dying to the Malthael, who's also going to be double soaking.
Use a lot of compositions. I don't mind taking it away early. It's still fairly neutral.
Nice adjustment from Stony Brook. They're going to help themselves to Hanzo.
So they picked Hanzo, which was kind of weird. He's pretty good on this map with his Q build, but they'd never really picked it before. So yeah, that's where their draft started. It's kind of a weird first pick for them, but it's not completely out of the ordinary.
Start off this draft. I really like their position in this overall. Infernal Shrines is one of those battlegrounds where it's a pretty universally accepted and understood map. You know how.
So we just go Blaze Malfurion. Blaze is overpowered. Malfurion's super flexible. It lets you go into pretty much any composition. Yeah, just good solid early draft picks. Don't really give your opponents a read on your comp. Yeah, they're both pretty good on the map too. And they both work pretty well together. So those were our first 2 picks. And draft continues.
Composition here too much. The Hanzo for Stony Brook, yes, Hanzo is nice. Most people can play it, and having that ranged go button is amazing, and it will kind of complement the aggression they were looking for last game. My only concern is they haven't shown it at all in competitive, either because it was banned or because they don't play it. They've not shown that whatsoever.
So ETC Sonya, pretty standard, especially for this map. Sonya's pretty strong. Yeah, good offlaner. They've played it before. It's totally expected. So we end up banning Lucio for the same reason that they should have picked it last game. It's really good with ETC, lets you charge in, helps out heal pretty much any poke that goes down onto them, but it looks right now like they're going to be poking. Mostly it gives you the shield for our engages and gives you the move speed so you can land better ETC stuns and Sonya stuns. So we banned that. They also hadn't picked their support yet, so just banning the best support left is a safe strategy.
Silence does a time or two more than we'd have preferred, but they don't have a front main tank yet. Tyrael did a pretty good amount of work, I would say. Those shields definitely help sustain Li Ming and the back line of Worcester Poly. I don't think that'd be the worst ban here at all.
That or the Genji. I would say the Genji is a legitimate concern with this team. They have a couple of other options. They play Tracer, they play Cassia, which we've seen gain traction. They also play the Greymane. So they're really...
So when they're talking about bans there, I used to be a tank/bruiser person, and I swapped over to DPS. So the DPS that I usually play are the Hanzo, Genji, Tracer, Cassia, bruisers. Kind of bruisery, mobile heroes, more than the Greymane too. Just basically the people that can get in, get out, get in, get out by themselves. Not much issue. They end up banning Tyrael because they were scared, because we played last game decently well, even though it was an okay pick. We end up taking a Nubarak because Nubarak and Tyrael pretty much do the same thing. They can anchor for your team, they can engage. Nubarak's specifically really good against Sonya and DTC because he's got 2 stuns to interrupt Whirlwind and Mosh Pit. Yeah, so we grab a Nubarak and then we end up picking our double soaker is going to be Gul'dan. He's going to be double soaking and shrine clearing, as well as kind of, it's not much pressure on him right now because they can't Lucio and ATC onto him. They've already picked both their front lines. Neither of them are really heavy dive, so the Gul'dan's pretty safe pick, and Dom's pretty good at it.
Or so to play aggressively and try to get on him.
Yeah, and now that we're seeing Gul'dan, it's something that was very popular on Infernal Shrines. It gives you great wave clear. It's a good option to follow up that Blaze. There's just so many spells hitting you when you're in the middle of that shrine. You have to be careful. Makes Sonya's life difficult, ETC's life difficult. That'll be Azer on the Gul'dan most likely. 77 game solo queue, 58% win rate. So fairly positive, plenty of experience on the hero.
Lol, stats straight out of Hot Slogs. Terrible stats site if you want real stats. Anyway, so what we've actually got right now is an AoE stun into an AoE root, into an AoE stun, into an AoE stun, into an AoE fear. So if they pretty much ever clump up, then they're all gonna die.
Okay, Stukov Li Ming. So
they end up picking Stukov Li Ming, and easiest tracer of my life. Hanzo can't do anything about it, Li Ming can't do anything about it, Stukov can't do anything about it. Tracer's just gonna walk all over them. So the game's pretty much over, just from the draft. Let's get into game.
This game aggressively, they could do very well.
Eventually.
But that Gul'dan, that Horrify, there are going to be a lot of engagement and counter-engagement options that Worcester helped themselves to. Bunker proved to be something of a problem for Stony Brook. I'm curious to see what kind of value to get out of that without the Sanctification here now.
I don't know if they need the Sanctification. What Sanctification gave them in the last composition was a good answer to what happens when there's a swap. When the rest of, swap happens and the team has to move forward, Tiro can just jump.
So, interesting note, we didn't pop a single Sanctification except for the final core push that entire game, because they never really got a good engage off.
I'm gonna have to go with Worcester Poly again. I think that their composition, I like the Blaze. I like what the Blaze gives them. I like the Anubarak. How well Shredded Wind is shown on that gives them the option. The answer is how well the Hanzo ETC Sonya composition goes, and how well Stukov can keep the team up before the fight really gets underway, because Stukov's healing kind of falls off. It comes in waves.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from on that, but I'm going to have to go with the Quintet of Seniors. Stony Brook, they know what's on the line here. This is their last go-round, but we're about to find out. Game number 2, Worcester Poly going up against Stony Brook. The Storm Wolves looking for game number 3. But on the left, we have Worcester Polybomb. They've done very well so far. Looking at their roster, we got Shredded Wind back again on Blaze. Caustic will be sticking bombs on Tracer. J Destroyer back again on the Malfurion. Azar is going to be hanging back on Gul'dan. And C10 Huang is on a new...
So a much more poorly executed core dance there. Yeah, so let's get into game.
Omniag on the Sonya, and we saw a leap last week.
We did.
Do we see a leap again? Because that would give them that arrow follow-up.
So we didn't notice this when we were playing, but they moved really aggressively in the mid lane for Sonya not being there at all. So we probably could have found punishes there, but we just decided to play safe. You know, they're still a pretty good team, even though they got pretty thrashed in the first one. So we also rotated our Gul'dan down early to try to deny some minions. So you see one denied there. So that meant our wave clear wasn't in mid, so they got the first clear, got the early rotation. And we mostly just do a safe rotate. I try to gank top early on just to lower Sonya's health bar. I don't know if a bomb charged yet, just to give Calvin an easier time in the lane, because it's still kind of a lane that Sonya could win.
Space for a Tracer to be able to kind of do things. The wave clear is a little bit of a problem for the side of Worcester Poly. They do have to be concerned about how much value the Stukov, Li Ming, Hanzo is going to just be able to kind of...
So that hurt. I thought that was a Q when he shot it, because he kind of shot it from Fog of War. Malfurion, pretty good support though. Healed it right back.
Opportunity for Stony Brook to get a good push and find a good game.
They need to be aggressive. Stony Brook.
So they're doing a 4-man rotate, whereas we're doing like a kind of stationary lanes with a couple of rotations here and there. But so far it's about pretty
I feel like this is a huge moment. Oh no, the bomb goes in a scar.
Hanzo, he kind of just chills out mid lane, steps up. I look at him kind of funny. He's like, "What are you doing? Is anybody around?" Nobody was around, so I just walk up to him and kill him because he stepped up for no reason.
We saw how much those Kerrigan picks in the previous set did. That first initial pick-off, it changes up the pacing of the game. You always have to be worried about that, you know, especially in these large rotational maps. With Worcester Poly gaining that advantage, they're able to get out their Khazra camp a little bit early. Maybe they can now take the bottom one.
So we actually get the Khazra camp, but we don't do much with our little sheepmen. So that was kind of a mistake from us. We should have had somebody anchor bottom, probably not Gul'dan, and have 3 people pushing the mid lane with the sheeps. Try to knock down this wall early.
But a nice stun from Huang into the root to follow up.
A second
all kinds of damage, and the bomb. If he
So yeah, you can see the power of our comp right there. Just chain stun somebody until they die. Pretty much. That was just us 3. We didn't even have our follow-up stun or our main DPS. And this kind of mistake from us. I was calling Calvin down for like 5 or 6 seconds at this point, and he was just kind of hanging out in this area. So we rotate in to try to take this camp because we know Sonya's still top. And we know ETC was just really low, even though he's healed up decently. But that means Stukov has used his bio kill switch. So we rotate in, and Calvin's really late on the rotate, so it doesn't go exactly according to plan.
They're showing up for this. This hasn't been captured just yet.
Caustic is feeling absolutely confident, leading the charge into the bush, trying to invade on this power slide. Anubarak's gonna pay.
So we lose Ben. He stepped up a little bit, didn't get his E off in time, got chain stunned to dead. So that gives Sonya some opportunity to free clear the shrine. It's not a huge deal. Losing out on the Khazra camp's pretty bad. Because that makes Gul'dan have a harder time double soaking. So what we're doing here, rotate up, try to stall as much as we can. Like Gul'dan double soak is gonna get way more experience than Li Ming can. So much in fact.
Oh, the stun! Oh!
So I'll rewind that a little bit.
So Ming is not there. So I'd be careful if I were Stony Brook. They kind of believe that they have this already, and we've seen what Caustic can do. If he finds himself a good pickoff, this could...
So Stukov is lurking arm. He's lurking on that bush, so I have vision on him. I know exactly where he's just kind of sitting there. I don't see any minions around him. Get into this bush. I see that ETC's all the way over here. Hanzo's over there. Sonya's over there. And I can just kind of walk up, put a bomb on him, and he'll die. Calvin's follows up, and everybody just kind of collapses on him and he dies. Even though we just got Ben back from his death down bottom.
Turn. It's only 26 in.
He's going in, throws in the bomb on the feeder.
Oh, the stun!
Oh no! Shredded win with the body check into the boards. Stukov goes down. Poseidon's going to try to power slide on out of there. Caustic again on Tracer proves to be a nuisance. Another charge from Shredded Wind is going to help close down Insomniac as well.
So yeah, we get the first kill, and then they kind of just I'll try to run away through a mouth fruit. That doesn't work out so well for them. Clean up, pretty easy. Now, something to note, they have 31 of these already. So we're kind of ambitious going for this, but we're mainly just trying to stall for as long as possible. Because now you can see Gul'dan is against nobody. He is getting free soaked in 2 lanes versus them not getting anything. So we're just trying to stall up here for as long as humanly possible to get as much of an experience as possible.
And they're gonna get it.
Also really helps when Li Ming walks right onto a route when you've got a post bomb charged. So they do eventually get this. No big deal. We've got Gul'dan double soaking still.
Power slide. Anubarak's like, actually, I'm just gonna leave if you don't mind. But Shredded Wind could be potentially hung out.
So you might have missed it there. Calvin dove onto Hanzo, who is jumping over the wall, right as the Punisher spawned. Ends up being fine. He gets out. Ben hides in the bush. We get to bait the Punisher over. they really get nothing out of this Punisher. Now we have a level and a half advantage.
And everything kind of cancels out. Worcester Poly, they don't manage to get themselves the Immortal because they've kind of left their Immortal Sieger, their person who gets all that wave clear, Gul'dan, off on the rest of the map. But they're a level up. They've lost Immortal and are a level up off of those picks, off of that good macro call strategy. You don't necessarily need the objective if you are gating.
So something to note I wasn't expecting is that Hanzo went W build on this map, specifically with Redemption at level 1. He wants to stay really safe. So Q build is definitely the way to go against her composition. With the Nubarak Blaze and Tracer, you want to stay as far back as humanly possible, and you really need the extra range from your Q stack level 1. He went Redemption, so he's trying to get kind of in there and deal damage with his auto attacks, which was a really questionable decision from him. So I'm going to pause it here. You can see we just got our 10 advantage. So we're looking to invade these camps on their side. Just bully them out, take their camps. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but so we start to come down to this camp. It pops because they just take it. We didn't know that Sonya was doing this camp for the last minute, so we go to rotate up to that camp. It pops, and then we're like, okay, now what do we do? So
everything in line for Worcester Poly when it comes to their heroics. Nothing out of the ordinary, but Tracer's already been setting up plays. Caustic has done massive work. Now you give him a little bit of increased damage. That gets dangerous. There's just so many tools on the side of Worcester Poly right now to shut down Stone.
We just end up rotating around, trying to find a pick. We just go bottom with our 4-man and try to take as much off the fort as possible, using our 10 advantage, which isn't great 10 push, but it's better than nothing, which is what it was looking like we were going to get at that point.
Stony Brook, with their composition, have the tools to have a successful team fight. They just need to come together and make it happen. Feeder.
So yeah, standard, see them in mid, rotate a bunch of people bottom, start beating up a fort. They all rotate down and push us away right when they hit 10.
Enough to actually go in on Worcester Poly. If they turned around on that could have got pretty good.
That was a dangerous window for Stony Brook. That was a true belief that they...
So yeah, pretty poorly played from us, I would say. We didn't really capitalize at all on our level 10 advantage, despite being up huge amount. Now we're just kind of running around, getting camps, push the lanes out, back to stalemate pretty much, looking for them to make a mistake.
In the stage dive, they're not baiting themselves with the possibility of running a mosh pit. They now have a good raw engage composition, and they've also got that laser beam from Li Ming. That's some good range damage. That should set them up for a pick, but they have to be willing to pull trigger, and they've seemed a little scared.
I'm keeping my eye on Peter Pan here. At level 7, you went for the extended range on that E, but putting yourself in a single spot, not moving against the Tracer who's been landing these pulse bombs with crispness from level 4? I don't know how well that one's going to play out. And
so, kind of caught the back end of it there, but there's a 1v1 between me and the Hanzo, and props to him. He got a great scatter shot off on me, hit me with all 5, hit me with the ultimate, almost killed me, but neither of us end up dying. But there's a couple things to note about this 1v1. This is a 1v1 that Hanzo loses 95% of the time. Tracer's just gonna blow you up, kill you, make you dead really fast. So he basically wants to jump over this wall right when he sees me, takes a couple of auto attacks, and we both walk away. Instead, he turned to fight, which tells me a lot about him as a player. So the fact that he's playing Hanzo, and I just played it last game, and he's never played it before in tournament, tells me that he basically just picked the Hanzo to try to out-Hanzo me. And then I picked the Tracer, and I already have a kill on him from the early game, which is a pretty disrespectful kill. So he's trying to basically fight me, and me only. He doesn't care about anything else besides killing me over and over. And that comes into play multiple times later in the game. You'll see.
Speaking of which,
the duel!
Starter almost found himself getting taken out again, but Tracer's low on health is going to manage to escape. There's the swipe. The Picasso paintbrush adds in the disengage. But Shredded Wind wants to continue to have this conversation. Peter Pan doesn't.
Ooh, Veracity is gonna get feared into the wall.
So, one frame off from the kill. She didn't blink off. She was totally dead. And then we get a free shrine. But good on Veracity, lived. And then the shrine fight continues on.
As the next objective is underway, 7 defenders and rapidly rising, potentially here for Worcester Poly. Poseidon looking to put the screws to the members of Worcester Poly, but with Stage Dive, maybe a different style of engagement.
Yeah, you would have wanted to be spread out for that, and this is a little bit more of a dangerous proposition for the side of Stony Brook. Now that Gul'dan is here on this shrine, dropping the bunker.
So before this fight kicks off, we're 23-4 ahead, so we're pretty safe on this. So we're basically forcing them to engage. They're all over here. Their ATC dives back here looking for Dom, but Dom moves down right before the stage dive went off. So now they're all trying to get this way to follow up on the stage dive, despite it missing. So this is already looking like a pretty good fight for us. We did burn bunker a little bit earlier off a bad engage from Calvin. So that's not going to be a resource we can use. Bunker down in this bush, or in this area, would pretty much just allow us to fire over them, isolate the ETC, keep everybody safe. But let's see the fight.
That might have been a little presumptuous, but Poseidon is in trouble.
Poseidon hits the trampoline and only finds a Twilight Dream waiting for him on the other end if it doesn't slow down anybody, and he's getting stunned and blown up.
So, yeah. ETC dove in way too deep, got focused down. Unfortunately, you can see over here Sonya's killing a Nubarak, which would have been prevented if we hadn't burned the bunker earlier. And Hero Minion right here blocks the pulse bomb for Li Ming, so she doesn't go down. And yeah, so we're pretty low, they're pretty low. Or they're not as low in this fight. Jason's pretty low over here, Dom's okay down here, but yeah.
Insomniac, however, is going to be playing full havoc on the back line, trying to get to a Nubarak successfully so. 28 defenders, 215 for Stony Brook. Caustic's been dancing circles around Stony Brook for the majority of the...
So we were pretty far ahead. Now they're starting to catch up on defenders. We just decide to back up, all hit our tap, and then re-engage, tank both teams down their tank. But we feel confident about this re-engage.
The game, serving up enough of a distraction where we could see Worcester Poly try to come back.
Rewind and reset for the side of Worcester Poly. Just get themselves out of there, find a little bit of health, tap, and they should be good. You've got more than enough space to reset up the team fight, but Stony Brook, they've still got that arrow. That arrow is back.
So Dom leads off the fight with a great corruption. Makes them burn Biokill Switch right at the start of the fight. So the fight hasn't even started yet, and they're already down a massive cooldown. So yeah.
It was used in that 1v1 duel, so it wasn't there for the team fight. We could see that open things up significantly.
Alright, so this is going to come into effect later. Blaze lands a stun. I start to rotate over to this Stukov. Malfurion's guarding Dom, who's fighting Sonya. Looks like Li Ming's over here, and their ETC's just getting back into the fight. Our Nubarak's a little bit a ways away.
Zara on the flank is coming through with that acid bag for real. We see the clown card.
So you can see I rotate over here, end up going against 3 people, trying to kill this Stukov by myself. This is, if you ever want to kill me on Tracer, just kind of stand in this area here on Infernal Shrines, and I'll probably end up walking in there and dying. So...
Target drop, nice route for zoning. Insomniac's gonna have to go around the corner. Caustic is over.
D on a train tracks, try to dodge this Hanzo arrow, end up dying.
We're here dancing, but you gotta mail a postcard and get some...
To a fantastic scatter shot from Skarner there. But we get the Punisher. We're all still really healthy, thanks to Jason. And fight continues on. Sonya dives in, gets rooted, barely missed the stun on Blaze. And yeah.
Insomniac for the moment is forever. A nice, unfortunate route, all things considered, on Skarner, and he tries to jump over with the natural agility.
So very fortunate that the Punisher got him there. He was pretty much dead because the Nubarak could just go over to the other side of the fort and kill him anyway. Just easier when the Punisher does it for you.
The Immortals. Oh wait, this Immortal's not done. I'm surprised Worcester Poly let that slide. That was an opportunity for a re-engagement, but they're going to take the invade. They're going to take the camp away. They've got more than enough time to do this, especially with Tracer showing back up. Hanzo will not...
So I'm not 100% sure about this play because it's still so early in the game. But I'm going to be here before Hanzo is, so we can just invade their top camp.
TC's like, I'm just going to go in, guys.
And I wasn't really expecting them to engage here, but they ended up engaging.
Throw his body onto the pyre as well, surrounded by a field of blue health bars. The Horrify.
So they engage unexpectedly for probably both teams, considering how little follow-up there was to that stage dive. They end up losing 2 people, and we get their camp.
Impale knock-up combo onto ETC every time he goes in there, and Poseidon just gets shredded. You're leaving your entire backline vulnerable. We saw the arrow pretty much run right through the goalpost. That thing went straight through the entire enemy team.
Yeah, bunker down a fort, multiply the damage if you're a new brack in your place in the tower. Basically free fort for kills. That's how you play bots.
To slow things down, like you said, and keep it together. Without their 13s, we saw that stage dive and aggressive engagement, and Stony Brook ended up paying the price. And it cost them quite a bit. They fell behind on Soak even more. Level 16's now around the corner, not out of the question at all momentarily for Worcester Poly. And Stony Brook find themselves in an increasingly dire situation.
ETC is only as tanky as his distraction and the CC he puts down. ETC does get his armor, which is great, but his health pool isn't that massive, and he only has one way to take damage. The engagement.
There's a nice charge. There's the swipe, trying to disengage. Skarner's going to not make it over the wall with that natural agility, and now Peter Pan dies the slow death. Shredded Wind sets up.
So yeah, they step up without their ETC slide or their bio kill switch, and they just get engaged on behind the fort. Also, Sonya's still top pushing, which is just not how you do it. So yeah, we push on.
Threaded the needle on that play. But pretty much any time that he lands a single stun, the whole team is prepared to follow up. Caustic takes a little bit of free damage, but this is going to be first keep going down. Meanwhile, Sonya's been top trying to gain any value that the team can get, keep them soaking up.
Bunker down keep, free keep. Sonya just rotates now, which is really, really bad. And now we have an option. There's the Shrine spawning top, and I think we make the right play here. Can be argued though. So we decide to get all the lanes pushed out, despite knowing that they'll get 16 before the Shrine fight. Mostly because this top lane here is pushed all the way to our keep. So if we fight up here, then we have no real retreat path to get back to if the fight starts to go wrong. So say we go up there, we get like 20 defenders, 20 little skull guys. They hit 16, I'll rotate up, and then we lose the fight. There's nowhere for us to go. So we had decided to push the lane up and basically give them the same situation that would happen to us there if the fight goes wrong. So
I think Sonya joins the rest of the team again down bottom and not split soaking like ETC could have and made use out of that global. Level 16 is now here for Stony Brook.
So you can see here the minion wave is like beating them up already. They are essentially completely trapped in this little area. So we have one of our DPS and an anchor over here, so they can't do much on the actual shrine. Other DPS and our anchor down here, so if they retreat, they can't really do anything. Jason rotating between the middle. This is our standard setup for pretty much a lot of team fights. Both the tanks can help out, both the DPS can help out. Jason can keep everybody up. We're all safe. We have vision on all of them. There's really nothing that can go wrong with this setup, as long as one of our tanks doesn't get like one shot.
Red Wind steps forward, plenty of help.
Alright, so I don't know what happened here. I think Sonya panicked because we were kind of just closing them in here. She tries to run away right into our whole team. just pulse bomber, she dies, and then they're completely trapped in here. There's nowhere for them to go. There's nothing for them to do. And they just all... It's just bad for them from here on.
Yeah, and then the bomb from Caustic, who's just been hanging out in the back line pretty much all game on Stony Brook. Sonya gets blown up.
So you can see the Hanzo still really trying to kill me and me only. Shoots an arrow at me. It was pretty scary, but Tracer's pretty good at dodging stuff. And then they just get cleaned up. Dom gets a solo kill on the Hanzo because he wasn't paying attention to him. Then we just clean up.
Kidding. I would like to leave, and Worcester Pride is like, oh, we're going to help you leave. You're going to get that all-access ticket back to your base free of charge. That's going to be a full-service ace. Worcester Pride with the macro potential. They understand. They're going to go ahead and go through this top lane, try to get the maximum pressure there. Only have one person go in, pick up the Arcane Punisher to begin what could potentially be the end of the series.
This should be endgame. Worcester Poly has shown they know how to play this composition, they know how to find these picks, and Stony Brook has been unable to find the answer. But you're fighting on the core, it's dangerous, we're only...
So, yeah, standard practice. You push forward when you've got an advantage, basically set the lane up for your Punisher, and then, yeah, end the game with the Punisher.
Locked down for actually ever. Insomniac's trying to get on the back line onto the Golden, has the shield. Caustic again enjoys themselves and has a field day. The entire front.
So they're all over the place with this team fight. Feels bad, man. Bomb on the Li Ming blink. 2 blinks to save her life. Right before the ultimates went out on her. And then Punisher's beaten up mid-keep. We just win the game. So yeah, that was
the 6th man
was
Punisher set that up. There was a window for Stony Brook, but Worcester Poly is gonna get it. They'll get it off of great macro play, good teamwork, and clear understanding of their composition's limitations.
I am thoroughly impressed with Shredded Wind's Blaze. We saw them get picked up first, right out of the draft on game 1. And I was like, okay, you know, Blaze started to show up, have a bit more prominent showing. Yeah, Shredded Wind definitely made some things happen on that. Has to go around on game 2. A lot of those stuns enable Caustic to have an absolute party on the bench.
So yeah, Blaze is a really powerful pick. We have a really good Blaze player. Probably the best solo queue Blaze in North America with Calvin. Yeah, so it's a pretty easy pickup for us when Blaze is so powerful, and we have a really good Blaze player. Yeah, really sets up team. Really flexible, so you can go into all the positions. We had him off lane both times, but you can pretty much do anything with him. And yeah, compositions came together really nicely. We played it pretty well. A little bit sloppy on the execution, but pretty nice series for us to win.
Excited to see. There were so many to choose from. Back on Infernal Shrines towards the end, we saw the last time we could see Stony Brook have that even tier team fight and try to turn this thing around. But Insomniac gets isolated and detonated by Caustic before things could even kick off. No heroics are even used at this point, and a team fight is over before it effectively begins.
That was so quickly executed in terms of the communication between Shredded Wind and Caustic. Because of how fast they did that, the moment Sonya rounds that corner, she's already dead. Mm-hmm. Granted, they wait for her to walk a little bit further down into the lane, they give her more space, and then they collapse. But the moment she comes around that corner, she's away from the team, she's a little out of position. It looked like she was coming in for a flank, but...
So that situation was set up from us pushing that lane out and basically trapping them in that shrine if they wanted to contest it at all. They had nowhere. If they wanted to step back out, they had to do it as a 5-man, and if anybody trickled out, they would just get blown up, which is exactly what happened and led to us winning the game. So yeah, I'm gonna see if the full highlight reel is soon. All right, there it is in the timeline.
Potentially, but Insomnia, oh! Steaks.
Barbecue steaks, grilled sirloin, doesn't really matter. Peter Pan will be hunted down, and they'll finish him off. And I mean, feels he 6 in.
He's going in, throws in the bomb on the feeder
Oh, the
pan,
stun.
and oh no, Shredded Wind with the body check into the boards. Stukov goes down. Versailles going to try to power slide on out of there. Kostic again on Tracer, proves to be a nuisance. Another charge from Shredded Wind is going to help close down Insomniac.
He only has one way to take damage. The engagement.
There's a nice charge. There's the swipe, trying to disengage. Skarner's going to not make it over the wall with that natural agility, and now Peter Pan dies the slow death. Shredded Wind sets up another stun. ET. Shredded Wind steps forward. Plenty of help, full health bar. Absolutely applying pressure
Isolated.
to Insomniac. And then the bomb from Kostic, who's just been hanging out in the back line pretty much all game on Stony Brook. Sonya gets blown up.
Poor target for that arrow. Skarner's going to send that at Tracer, easily sidestepped. Versailles going to get stunned up, finished off as well. Skarner on the run, pretty much being soloed by this Gul'dan, who needs help. And Peter Pan, I mean, he's the last one. He's the last one left standing. Could you really call him a feeder?
It was a meme, guys.
So yeah, that was our series against Stony Brook. They were pretty good games. They were a pretty good team. We showed them a lot of respect in the drafts. Yeah, the series went pretty well for us. This was my analysis. Thanks for watching.
We put in practice and discipline, no giving up, no giving in. We're match fit, we're here to win. For those who don't know, better filament information. Where the realest out here, no imitation. All around the world, no immigration, and we get it in without an invitation. Sound travels and the ground shakes, and our society has got us on the wild chase. Tell them we'll be back in 60 seconds with the loud bass.